Hi everyone, this is Don King again, welcoming you to another episode of my podcast, Outspoken. Today in studio we have got my son, Lyndon, which is Alex. He does not like to be called Lyndon, but he's Lyndon Jr., whether or not he likes it. We just want to welcome him back to another episode of Outspoken. Today we'll be continuing on the path, the unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So Lyndon, welcome again to Outspoken.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming. Now, to me, I'm looking through my own lens, and it appeared to be that there was some, in a sense, inequality in the way the security forces addressed the issue in Kenosha, Wisconsin. What's your take on that situation?
There's been a long history of inequality, especially between black civilians, black citizens, members of the public, and city set officials and law enforcers.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at what's been going on in terms of like protests, especially we're going to draw reference to Kenosha, Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
and the event that took place after
the incident of Blake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jacob Blake
Yeah.
Jr.
Yeah.
We see that we've seen and witnessed, mass inequality and police brutality,
Mm-hmm.
and the policing of colored, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
black bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that there's an inequality, and there's a definite line between how black bodies are treated in terms of white bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna draw on two different reference points.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Black Lives Matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we see the Black Lives Matter group, and after, let's say that we have the so right now the non-masked protesters
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
right? So two protesting groups,
Mm-hmm.
And two very different
They've got two different mandates.
motives.
That's correct.
Two very different motives,
Mm-hmm.
and they have also two very distinct demographics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, paying attention to that, I want you to contrast like whatever I'll be saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of the Black Lives Matter,
Mm-hmm.
we see that they are treated with a lot of aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Black Lives Matter members are being treated
In terms of
with
when they're
a
on the
lot
streets with their protests and their marches.
yes,
Okay.
right, with a lot of aggression,
Mm-hmm.
show of force.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you stated in the previous podcast that
Mm-hmm.
these members of the police force were quote unquote fear of their life. Now, I would challenge that. Now, I'm not saying that they do not have a very serious threat. It is true. And, by signing up and putting yourself in that position as a police officer or
Mm-hmm.
a military man, or a woman, there is a very real threat. And, I must respect it, and I commend you for going to such a field. But again, you don't, as a police officer or a soldier or anybody dealing with combatant force,
Mm-hmm.
or having to use force at your discretion,
Mm-hmm.
or authorization, there is a level of aggression, not aggression, but authority and force that
Mm-hmm.
you must use at your discretion.
Mm-hmm.
And relating it to what's been going on in terms of the protests, yes, I know that you have good protesters,
Mm-hmm.
and you have violent protests,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in what we see happening, especially a lot in the peaceful protests, is that
Mm-hmm.
there's still being violence being shown. Like I've seen so many times on social media, and I know a lot of the viewers have seen it too, where you have people kneeling down, people protesting silently, people non-violent protests, and they're still being
They're
treated
still
with
being
aggression.
beaten, and yeah.
Meanwhile, if we look at the those who are protesting for no mask or saying that the coronavirus is a scam, you know, we see them being treated, you know, with no
aggression.
From what I've seen,
Yep.
no sort of aggression. There's no masks being worn. They are in the faces of police officers throughout a pandemic where they're being told that they should be wearing a mask because nobody knows if they have it or not. And they're not being shown any for. I don't see no tear gas being deployed. I don't see no full suits being deployed. I don't see anything showing that a real show of force with a mass group. And you see people coming out. One thing that I did not understand is that for the mask, for the people that are protesting against the mask, there are people coming out in AR-15s, gun or assault rifles, you know, armed to the teeth. For what purpose? You know, for what purpose to protest against wearing a mask?
And yet there was no.
And yet still you have police are saying that they're in fear of peaceful protesters who are protesting peacefully. With
for the life of a person that was
takefully, but there's no and taken from them, and and they have no weapons, no nothing. They're just peacefully protesting. Now, going back to the protests that are going on, especially in even prior to George Floyd, we see, yes, there have been violent protests. But yeah, I'm not saying that the violence is condoned. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying that it's right either. But at the same time, we have to remember that these businesses are covered by insurance. They are insured, you know, and they will get more than likely be able to get back their money, and the damages will be covered. But one thing that will never get back is the lives that are taken. So I believe that the policing are really focusing and I'm not going to say that all police officers are bad, because that's not the case.
No.
And just like how all police aren't bad, all protesters aren't bad, and not all protesters are good as well.
But one thing we have to understand, it doesn't matter what the organization is. What doesn't matter what you know, the circumstances are. There is always, and I repeat, there will always be someone who has got an ulterior motive, someone who goes against the grain. And on that topic, though, with the fact that yes, a protest goes violent if someone's life is being threatened, you know, or being infringed upon. Even I often say this thing, even a dog without a dog with no teeth being backed up into a corner. And one thing we have to understand, the fear of losing your life sends one into a mental state because you have to defend yourself. I'm not saying that was the situation. And we have to also understand that then that at these peaceful rallies and protests, there will always be someone or a group of people there for the wrong reasons. Now here we are protesting, we're having a rally, and you're gonna go and start looting, start breaking down stores to take an item, a piece of furniture, a television set that you had your eyes upon for how many years, but you could not afford. But so you take this as an opportunity. Those people are not a part of the Black Lives Matter. They are not protesting for the reason why the Black Lives Matter is there. They are out there to get the opportunity to steal.
And I'd like for that same type of distinguishment to be applied onto the protesters as well, because the same way how people say not all police officers are bad, I want people to say the same thing about those who are protesting, that not all the protesters that are protesting are there for the right reason. You have those that come there, just as you rightfully stated, with their own mandate and their own premeditated ideas and motives that they had, you know, that they want to go there to just cause problem,
you know. And then they give Black Lives Matter, whoever the protesters are, you know, they give them that negative, scar. So at the end of the day, yes, can they do something about it? No. Someone falls into line with your rally, and you believe that they're there because you're looking for support. Not knowing that they have their own mandate, not knowing that they're there for other reasons, you know. But they took that, just like as I've said before, in the police force, you've got so many decent men and women who joined the police force for the sole purpose of serving and protecting the citizens.
Yeah.
But there is always someone who comes with an ulterior motive, to say, okay, this is an opportunity for me to do the things that I could not get to do if I was not. I remember I have to give whatever is due to Caesar, give it to Caesar. Because when it comes to police officers, my family is full of police officers. My wife is an ex-cop. She rose to the rank of a sergeant. She a detective sergeant in the Jamaica Police Force, and she has got many friends. I've got many friends still in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and also in the JDF. Her son is also a member of the Jamaica Defense Force, and they signed up. Their mandate is to serve and protect, comes what may. And they went there with the mandate to serve their country and serve their people well. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it, and they're still doing it, and she has done it. But here we are, these peaceful marches, rallies, Black Lives Matter, I endorse their platform 110%. But there's always that person who comes along, to create, mischief, and then to put, this tag on their peaceful march and their rallies, but the police force, unfortunately, they're not seeing it that way. Yeah. They're looking at it that these people are here to create problem. No, they're not. A life is a life. It's a life. It doesn't matter what color that life is. Black lives matter. All lives matter. It doesn't matter who you are. To a person who has a dog, and if that dog should be hit, or someone should perform some act of cruelty on that dog or that animal, you're gonna retaliate, and it's hurtful. And much less a person, you're saying that you should keep your mouth closed when your loved one has been taken away in a violent manner for no reason. You expect for someone to keep quiet. No, it cannot be done.
And one thing that I don't seem to understand why it's so hard for people to grasp is that if you were to say that all lives do matter, how can all lives matter if one specific life within that group does not matter? It does not make any sense. It's counterintuitive. It's simply contradictory to the very name itself. How can all is
not inclusive.
It's not inclusive.
Yeah.
It's not inclusive. You don't get to pick and choose when all is applicable to when the term all is applicable. All is not inclusive. When you mean all, it means everything. You cannot simply say something is complete if it's not 100%.
That is correct.
100% is 100%, meaning everything included.
That's correct.
Right? So simply to say that all lives matter when
there's an exclusion. It's not all. That is correct.
Is not valid.
That's correct.
And going back to what you were stating about mischief within these rallies and stuff, I want to shift our gaze and our focus towards the protest that ensued after Jacob Blake Jr. was shot by the police officer. Is the 17-year-old shooter, Kyle Rittenhouse, who was charged with first-degree homicide and was on camera witnessed interacting with law enforcement, and law enforcement was thanking him for his service or whatever it was. Let's also focus on that.
He's a 17-year-old.
A 17-year-old
with an illegal rifle.
Yeah, and he's not even of legal age to have a rifle. And at that point, he is not even from Wisconsin.
He crossed the border.
He crossed the border.
Yeah.
He wasn't even from Wisconsin. I forgot which city.
But he came over to protect a service station.
Yeah.
Not to protect lives of people. A service station.
Yeah.
A gasoline station.
Yeah.
Not the lives of people. What matters most? All lives matter? Does a person's life matter? You're there to protect a service station. But you ended up taking two people's lives.
Yeah. It just shows you
Wow.
how it just shows you how
Wow.
you know how little black lives are. Those who ever are
Hmm.
have any contact with them or showing anything to support them are being treated as nothing, and it shows you that you know there is an inequality, and where property is being prioritized over the lives of people.
Yep.
And it's so infuriating to the point where it's exhausting having to go on to the news and seeing this happen over and over and over and over again.
But
And
to me, Alex, it seems as if it seemed then as if Black Lives Matter, that rally, was not even being protected by the security officers. You know, in a sense, when you made mention of the protest against the mask, the police were there and they said, "Oh, that was a peaceful rally." You know, they're protesting against what the government mandated for you to wear a mask, and to you, that was something of importance, something to save your life, something to prevent others from catching this deadly virus. But to you, it didn't matter because you're there without a mask. Here we are, Black Lives Matter. They're there protesting inequality and also the fact that a life was taken. But to you, it didn't really matter.
it doesn't really matter at all. It doesn't
Wow.
really matter at all. And just going back, a 17-year-old with a legal gun holder. Yes, it's open carry in the state, but it just shows you that the gun laws are very slack, and how unnecessary the guns were. Like, I don't understand. I understand that yes, there were looting and destruction of property was taking place. Yes, and the open carry is unfortunate, but yeah, it is the Second Amendment. And with that being said, it's just very bad combination. It's just a recipe for mayhem, disaster, and confusion. And we see that happen now. We've seen that happen now, and it just shows you that America has a lot to come to terms with and to reconcile in terms of the background checking and after who is able to have these rifles and who these guns and who is able to go in crossing city and state lines with these rifles. Here you see somebody who wasn't here with an intent to a service, right, to protect any bodies. He was here to simply with a premeditated
Yep.
notion, a premeditated motive, not to protect buildings with a front, but simply to
He used
cause
that
problems.
as
He used that
Yep.
to go there with a rifle.
Yep.
With the front that he was EMS or EMT, whatever it was, and after watching the video a couple of times, after he whatever happened, there was an altercation, and after he shot a gentleman, and then after he was a lot of people saying that he was going to be in self-defense. Yeah, he was fleeing at one point in time, and a man pursued him, and after he fell, and he did shoot. But at the same time, there's so much stuff to be put into perspective and to.
You see, you
identified.
mentioned the fact that he was shooting people. I said before that, even if a dog without teeth should be backed up into a corner and the fear of losing its life, it's going to rebel, it's going to retaliate, it's going to try to fight back or to bite, even without teeth. And yes, he had a gun and he killed somebody, he fired a shot, he killed somebody, but yet he was fleeing because of what?
It wasn't just one person.
Yeah.
It was more than one person
Yeah.
that he did kill.
Yeah, he killed two people, but he was fleeing. He was running. Why was he running? Because of the fear of losing his life.
Yeah. Not justifying his.
Yeah.
And I'm not simply saying that we're justifying his reasoning for shooting the weapon, or firing his weapon. But just to let you know, like even watching the prior videos of what he did, of there's videos of him saying that he was there to protect property. You know, you could tell that from those videos that he was mischievous.
Yeah, the
And I think
motive.
he had
Yeah,
a motive.
yep,
You know,
he had a
like,
motive.
it could have been confrontational in a
Yep.
sense when he was actually
Yep.
trying to promote
Yep.
this type of conflict
Yep.
and this confrontation, or it would be through I'm not saying the verbal uh, confrontation or being aggressive.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that justifies the reasoning for violence, but at the same time, not being there enough to only seeing a snippet of what actually did take place, you know, it's a little bit.
You know, one thing we have to understand that you know, there's a saying, you can run but you cannot hide,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter what we do in life. You
What's
know,
done in darkness must come to
yeah,
light at some point
it's
in
gonna
time.
come back full force. And at the end of the day, each and every one of us, as I've said before, we have the same path from the cradle to the grave.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who we are. You know, we have to understand that, you know, there's a saying that the same knife that sticks a goat sticks a sheep. And if we are here saying that we're protecting somebody's life by taking another person's life, you know, you will also be on that same path. You will also have that same faith. You know, from the cradle to the grave, we have to understand that each and every one of us were put on this earth for a reason. A reason. And each and every one of us, in the eyes of God, are all equal. It doesn't matter which way you want to look at me. Black, brown, white, blue, yellow, green. We are all here.
Yeah.
By the mercies of God. We don't have to be taken out by a bullet. We don't have to be taken out by a car accident or by a knife. God can just say, you know, it's time for you to go. The breath from the nostril, the last breath is drawn, and it's time.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful. What goes around comes around.
Yeah, but not only that, but being careful, but we have to also be cognizant on what is taking place at this present time, you know, and simply waiting around, like you referenced to a sheep, to be stuck by the knife. I think it's time that, you know, we have to wake up. We have to wake up and realize that, you know, what we've been doing for the past year, hundreds of years, has not been working. And we have to show unity. Unity is the only thing that we have right now. You know, because what we can see that this police force, and when you see their information and their unity and they want to go, they have one mandate, and it makes them so effective. When we are around running like a chicken without our head with no, you know, unity or anything like that. When we look at groups such as the Black Panther, how is it that the Black Panther group is labeled as a terrorist organization, but the KKK is?
KK is not. Yeah.
Because even if there was even a report done by a former FBI agent head, he said that what is now number one threat to America? It says Negro unity.
But I said that before. The world knows that, and there should be no fear of the black people being united, because again, a house divided among itself cannot stand. That's the Bible.
Yeah.
We can't. And Bible, it doesn't matter which way you take it, you put it, you can burn it up. The Bible will never lie. A house divided among itself can never stand. And the world knows that, yes, as black people, we are not united.
Yeah.
We are not united. We're not here to build strife. We're not here to war. We're not here to cause a rebellion. The rebellions have already been fought and won. So, people believe that slavery was abolished because someone sees the need to, let them go now. They have done so much. No. Blood, sweat, and tears and life were given for us to be where we are today. And I said to you before, and I will forever be saying this, the Haitian Revolution. People, we got to know our history. We got to know who we are. We got to know where we are from. I'm not saying that Haitian Revolution or the Haitian Revolution should repeat itself. No, that fight is already fought. That fight is already won. We are here. We have to take our hats off to the Haitian folks, Jamaican folks who stood up to inequality and said, enough is enough. And this is where we are, why we are here today, because they fought against an unjust system.
Yeah.
And the system is not getting any better. As Alex said, we are still enslaved. The worst type of slavery that we can ever find is mental slavery. And I'll quote Bob Marley, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself can free of our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop this time. You understand? And I end the quote. That was Bob Marley. So we should not be fearful of what comes, or be fearful of being killed when we stand up for right, when we stand up for justice, when we stand up for truth. Because at the end of the day, if you don't stand up for it, you're still gonna die. You stand up for it, you're gonna die. So it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you are.
Stand for something or fall for anything.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Lennon?
Yep. Yeah, it's just, it's one of those topics that, it's heavy and it's a lot to absorb. But again, like what you stated earlier on, in order for there to be any type of improvement or moving forward, we have to all do our own due diligence and to know our history.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only real way in which we know where to go from here. We have our Martin Luthers, we have our Malcolm X's, we have our Rosa Parks, we have so many people that have come to the forefront that came before us and set the pathway. That fight, that physical fight with guns, knives, is no longer our own fight, but now we have a fight, a civil. We have to use the instruments that are given to us. We have to now our books. We have to use our wisdom, our knowledge. We have to fight the slave masters. We have to fight those put in power above us with their own game.
That is correct.
So
that is correct.
At the end of the day, to those listening right now, it's imperative that we as a people become a united front.
Yeah.
And no other way to become united than to have education. Because
that
at the end of the day, the pen is mightier than the sword.
And on that note, Lyndon, I thank you once again for coming. And to you, our listeners, thank you for tuning in another time to Outspoken. This is Don King saying be safe. Bye for now until next time. God bless.